Good morning, Wycliffe Barrett here, X-Plane Dedicated. I hope everybody's okay, and welcome to the live show this morning. I come on to go live for a number of reasons. I think after the release of Orbeck's True Earth Great Britain South, and I mean, it's still generating a whole load of excitement. People really getting excited about this. But after that, it's time to kind of step back, take stock, see where we are. And so what this live stream is about is really just taking stock, talking about X-Plane, talking about maybe RAF Cosford, and because I haven't done this year, I didn't do a vlog of RAF Cosford. I wanted to take it in more, so I think I'd like to talk about RAF Cosford a little bit, and what is the future looking that way. What is the future going to be for flight simulation, hardware manufacture, and stuff like that? So if you want to say anything, please put a comment below. I can see we've got one viewer already. Put a comment in the chat. I'll see that. If you've got any questions, ask a question. I'm planning on being online for at least 30 minutes. Time now is 3 minutes to 10, so I'm planning on being live for at least 30 minutes, maybe a bit more. You never know. When I start talking, I just keep going. And I think I might talk about a couple of other things that are hanging around that that I can talk about. Anyway, first things first. I've got a big apology to make to. I've got to get this right. Just Flight. When I did the Hawk first impressions, I titled the video "Flight 1 Hawk." I then said that the Hawk was built in collaboration between Aerosoft and Thrander in the video, when in actual fact, the collaboration is between Just Flight and Thrander. Thrander and Just Flight, they work together on developing, producing, and publishing the Hawk TA 1/A, a brilliant aircraft. It's been such a busy time since the Hawk came out for me personally, with a number of different projects, not just to do with flight simulation, but really I only did the first impressions video, and I haven't had a chance to go back to the Hawk to do a further video, but I will do a further video in a little while. I'm hoping to get to that, but over the next couple of weeks, things are going to get even busier for me, because on the 15th of November, I'm going away on holiday again. We're going to Vietnam and Cambodia, which will be very interesting, I think. And there will be hundreds of, maybe thousands of photographs of that, if you're interested. Anyway, so at the moment, time is collapsing on me, as they say. Time is collapsing. The other major problem is the weather here in South Wales is incredible for October. So that means that with the weather being so beautiful, and I really mean beautiful, I wish I could turn the camera and show you, but the sunshine out there and blue skies, that means that when the weather is dry, drone flyers, racing drone flyers like me and a bunch of friends, we fly. So once again, time collapses and kind of takes things away from me and away from you in one respect. But I'm always there. I'm always on Facebook. My admins, they're always managing Facebook. And in the last couple of weeks, funnily enough, since RAF Cosford and since the release of Orbeck's True Earth Great Britain South, there's got to be a smaller way of saying that, that we've had a massive influx of new members into X-Plane Dedicated on Facebook, which is great. And we've also had a number of subscribers, new subscribers to the YouTube channel, which is also great. And I think Orbeck's TEGBS, there we go, TBGE, whatever. Since that, obviously there's been a lot of inquiries about how do we get this working, how do we install it, and how do we sort out the scenery, INI file, INI file, and people seem to be going anywhere to get that information, and rightly so. So what I did what I did, not yesterday, maybe the day before, I can't quite remember, is that I did a video specifically talking about installing Orbex True Earth Scenery Great Britain South, and how you install it and what you do once you've got it installed. Because there is an issue with the installer. Good morning from Germany. Guten Morgen. I hope my German is acceptable. So there are a number of issues in installing it. So let me go through. I'll go through it now in this real talk. Okay. So when you purchase the product, right? This is for people who haven't got it. You purchase the product from Orbex, but you do need FTX Central 3. I was just checking my icon then to see which one it is. So you do need to make sure you've got the latest FTX Central, and that is FTX Central 3. To ensure that the download process works, okay? So you then purchase the product, and it doesn't matter where you purchase it from. Sorry, it does matter. You can only buy it from Orbex. You buy it from Orbex. As soon as you hit purchase or confirm or whatever it says, it will then ask you to download it. And on FTX Central, you'll see it download and you'll see it. So my advice at this point, depending on your internet connection, my advice is go walk away and have a cup of coffee, cup of tea, maybe some toast and marmalade or whatever. Because it's going to take an hour, maybe more, depending on your internet connection, okay? Now, I'm not quite sure how long it took for me because I started the download and then my wife and we went out grocery shopping. But when I came back, it was all installed. I think we were out for about an hour and a half, maybe. So I don't know how long it took. It may have taken 30 minutes. It may have taken an hour and 25 minutes. But when I came back, it would have finished downloading and it was installed. Now, the process that takes place is that it will download to your C drive. So you need to make sure that you've got plenty of room on your C drive, at least 54 gigabytes of space, sorry. You need 54 gig of space minimum, okay? What will happen is that Orbex will download into your C drive into a temporary folder, okay? And then from there, it will install into X-Plane. Now you will, if you've got more than one X-Plane installation, I've got 2. If you've got more than one X-Plane installation, you'll have to choose which one that you want it to go to when you first click on download. Okay, so I wanted it to install to X-Plane 1, so you see them, and that's what happened. So then it downloads into the temporary folder, and then all the JPEGs, which is the photo scenery or orthophoto, all the JPEGs are converted to DDS, and it does that on the fly. In other words, it does that as part of the install process. So once it's done that, it's converted it to DDS, it's installed into your X-Plane custom scenery folder. That is it. You don't have to do anything else in terms of installation. What you do have to do, though, is go to your scenery INI file. In fact, the correct name of it, just to make sure that we get this right. I'm just pulling up my X-Plane 11 so we can get this right. So the file that you need is X-Plane 11, custom scenery. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of your custom scenery folder, and you'll find a file there called scenery_packs INI. Okay, India, November, India. Scenery_packs India, November, India. All right. Now, in that pack, in that file, you'll find all of your custom scenery. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you this on screen, but there are lots of screenshots around of it all over the place. And if you go to X-Plane Dedicated, you'll also see it there, right? But the important thing is you need to find where all your UK airports are, okay? The UK airports only. It doesn't matter about all your other airports, but all your UK airports. And if you're like me, you'll have done your airports alphabetically. So when it comes to EG, that's where all your UK airports are, okay? And you need to put 3 files beneath your UK airports. And those 3 files are Orbex GB South True Earth Custom, Orbex South True Earth Overlay, and Orbex South True Earth Orthos. And then they're labeled A, B, and C, and they need to go in that order. So A, B, C, directly underneath all your UK airports. Your UK, oh gosh, I'm looking for it. Your UK landmarks, or so should I say X-plane landmarks London, need to be above the top of your UK airports, okay? So looking at my scenery in a file now, I've got EBBR, EDDH, EDDK, and then I've got X-plane landmarks London, and then below that, all my UK airports, okay? And then below that, I've got my Orbex True Earth scenery. And that is in my INI file, okay? It's really quite straightforward, although, and it is explained in the user guide, by the way, in Orbex, although my understanding is Orbex originally wanted the installer to sort out the scenery INI file for you as well, but it doesn't. So that's how you do it manually. And once you've got that, then it's fine. All right, old mucker, it's Matt. It's me, Matt. Eldon Phillips, good morning from Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome. I've not been to Trinidad. I was in Jamaica a couple of years ago, which is where my father was born. I was born here in the UK. So I've been to the West Indies. I've been to, I'll tell you where I've been. I've been to Cuba. I've been to Dominican Republic and Jamaica. So welcome, Eldon. Cedric, is it at least a bit frame friendly for a middle class PC not to run on 10 FPS? Cedric, is it at least a bit frame friendly for a middle class PC not to run on 10 FPS? Right. When you say a middle class PC, that means nothing to me. If you can put your PC specifications in there, you know, what your processor is, how much RAM you have, and what graphics card you've got, I can give you a better idea. But saying, you know, a middle-class PC, that, I don't understand what that means. Need to be specific. But anyway, so there we go. That's Orbex. Now, Orbex has been released, and it's been, you know, a huge splash, and it is really fantastic. What does that mean for PC flight simulation? Well, I got to be honest, and when I saw it at RAF Cosford, I was completely and utterly blown away. And I said to a few friends, people who were around, I said, that is a game changer. It really is a game changer. It's the best scenery that I have seen on any simulator. It just looks incredible. And it looks incredible in all sorts of conditions. So it looks amazing when it's bright sunshine, you've got clear cabot weather, which is often the best way to use it. But it looks amazing when it's in, you know, bad weather, cloudy weather, fog, rain, mist. It does look incredible, and without a doubt, it is a game changer. And I'm not being paid to say that. I have no affiliation with Orbex in that regard. By all means, I had a review copy, and yeah, but I have no affiliation with Orbex. If I thought it was rubbish, then I would tell you. There are a few anomalies. Now, let's be clear about this. There are a number of anomalies. They're not so much anomalies, but more that things have been missed out. Now, don't forget, there are over, I think it's 30 million trees or 130 million trees. Buildings are placed in exactly the right place, so houses. There are landmarks. So when I fly over Cardiff city centre, I see the Cardiff football stadium. I see the Millennium Stadium where they play rugby. I see Cardiff Castle, the university buildings, everything. But what I don't see is I don't see the fairy tale castle to the north of the city on a hillside, Castle Cork. There's just a random building there, not the fairy tale castle. And I could see that in other sceneries, like my Cardiff landmarks custom scenery. That has the fairy tale castle. But anyway, in Cornwall, apparently the Eden Project is not there, which is a bit of a shame because the Eden Project is it's a botanical garden where you've got these geodesic domes which were featured in one of the James Bond films with Pierce Brosnan, that would have been fantastic. Apparently, the Land's End, the Needles, and the Bishop Rock Lighthouse are not there. St. Michael's Mount is not there, which is a very, very famous landmark in Cornwall, Cornwall or Jersey, Cornwall. So there are anomalies. Just outside of Cardiff Airport, just if you take off on runway 12 to the left of the runway, there's a viaduct that goes across a valley, which is a very famous viaduct. It's there, it's modelled, but it's floating. It's above the terrain mesh. So there's a few anomalies. Those are just ones that I picked out. But then you fly to London, you do VFR over London, and it looks incredible. You know, you've got the Millennium Wheel, you've got the Houses of Parliament, you've got the Shard, the mobile phone building. I mean, it's just amazing. St. Paul's Cathedral, and they're all geographically located in the right place. So yeah, it is incredible. So it's a game changer, but also what it's going to do is going to push the limits of some PCs. And so that means that really to enjoy this, you need a 1080 graphics card. You need a substantial amount of RAM. People say that X-Plane runs fine on 16 gigabytes of RAM. It does. I've got 32 gig of RAM on my PC, but then I do a lot of video editing and what have you. So I feel the benefits of 32 gig of RAM. In terms of processor, Intel is the processor that you need, and you need an i7 without a doubt. Now, there are new 2080 cards coming out, the NVIDIA 2080 cards. I don't know whether they're called GTX or whether they've got a different prefix. But I've only seen one video of a 2080 card running X-Plane 11 with True Earth scenery. And if it hadn't have said in the title, this is a 2080 graphics card, I would have thought that it was just a 1080. The frame rates that were being shown were not that huge. There was not a huge jump in frame rates. It looked very smooth, but then again, mine looks smooth. So I really worry. I don't worry. I just wonder about the 2080 cards and what their specific purpose is. It may be more for video editing and photo editing. I don't know, because the increase that you get in terms of graphical pleasure is not that great from what I've seen. Anyway, there we go. Morning, Darren. Hope you're okay. Eldon. Yeah, the 20 series there, they do ray tracing. But even so, I don't know what that means visually to my eyes in terms of what I'm looking at. I mean, I always thought of ray tracing was something more akin to movie making, like rotoscope. So I'm not quite sure what that means in terms of what I am seeing. But what I saw in that video wasn't overly impressive. You know, it just looked, you know, if it didn't say it, I would have thought it was a 1080 card. All right. So let put that aside now. So Orbex to the side, Just Flight, Hawk to the side, and I'd like to talk about RAF Cosford because I didn't do a vlog this year for a number of reasons. I didn't do a vlog, even though I took 2 cameras. I had my phone, and I intended to do everything on the Samsung phone. For a change, because I just wanted to make a video on just using the phone, but I didn't do anything. I took a few photographs, and not many of them either. And the reason being was that RAF Cosford 2018 was probably the busiest, most friendliest, fun-packed flight simulation show I have ever been to. It was far in a way different. It was different from last year. I don't know what it was, but a couple of friends, Darren for one and Matt for another, they just said that it felt friendly. that you had a large number of manufacturers, YouTubers, developers, flight sim enthusiasts, and it was like old friends coming back together. You know, it was people that you'd met the year before or the year before that. It was like old friends coming back together and just having a jolly good time. It was busy in so much as that there was presentations every hour of the day in the main lecture hall, whereas last year I think there were only 4 presentations, and the year before that there was only 2 or 3. But this year, every hour of the day there was a presentation on in the main lecture hall. So at every hour of the day, there was possibly 200 to 300 people missing from the show itself. But even so, it was still busy. There was times when the X-Plane dedicated stand was 3-4 deep with people talking to myself or Alan Squires or Nick Garlick and Justin, my volunteers who volunteered to help me. And I'm so glad they did, because it made it such an easier day, in so much as that we could go off and wander about at different times, knowing that there was still somebody at the stand. So that was great, and I can't thank Justin, Alan, and Nick enough for their help, because it was a great help. It was a great help setting up on the Friday, and at the end of Saturday, it took no time at all to dismantle the stand at all. It was amazing. Darren has just said that the seminars were so busy that people couldn't get in. The one seminar that I wanted to go to, the laminar seminar, it was standing room only, and unfortunately I could not stand for the whole thing, because I was standing on the side, which was like it sloped down at an angle, and my feet were hurting, so I couldn't stay for the whole thing. So that was a bit disappointing. Going around the hall, the main hangar where the show is held, there was numerous manufacturers, PC manufacturers. I know that Alpine was there, Chill Blast was there, Wired to Fire was there, Midland Computers were there. I may have missed a couple of others off. So the large computer vendors were there. Then you had Aerosoft was there, Just Flight was there, Scarlatti, Airbus Systems was there with the full Airbus cockpit, which is amazing. When you sit in it, everything is in the right place. All the switches are in the right place. The FMC works. It's incredible. And it all runs off one PC, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I thought that the noise has gone down because I'm charging batteries. I'm charging batteries on the floor there, and the fan was whirring. Anyway, so that's gone off. Yeah, Scarlatti is owned by a Polish guy, and I thought they came over from Poland every year to set this up. Scarlatti is actually in Birmingham. So if you ever want to go and have a look at those full-size systems, get online, make an appointment, and go and have a look. And if you've got 30,000 euros, then you can have a full system. And I was asking him, I mean, who buys your full cockpit systems? And he said, there are private owners throughout Europe. There are flying schools that buy them. But I was very surprised when he said, there are private owners, because I thought it was specifically for commercial interests. Anyway, Darren was saying he sat on the floor throughout the Orbex presentation. I didn't go to that one. No, I went to. Did I go to? No, I went to the laminar one. Anyway, so moving on, there were a large number of what we call community exhibitors, of which I'm one. These are exhibitors who just bring along themselves and whatever it is that they have. There's like the Lancaster. There's a guy who's been building a Lancaster flight simulator for years. There's another group there, I think they're the Southwest Flight Simulator group, and they come and they've got everything goes into cases. So you open up a case and there's a computer screen and the navigation display and everything. Everything comes in cases, which is really clever. overall, the show was fantastic. A major success for myself personally, because Explain dedicated stand was just brilliant. Next year it will be better and it will be bigger. We're going to have different media, different advertising, so it will be a lot better and a lot bigger. And which brings me neatly on to a few things that are happening that I can talk about, but I've got to be very careful. So I am working with a major PC manufacturer at the moment. I'm not going to tell you the name just yet, but I'm working with a major PC manufacturer who are developing a PC specifically for X-Plane, and they've asked me if I will test that and help them develop it. So I've got that. It's arrived from the company. It's arrived, and so this weekend I'll be setting that PC up for X-Plane 11, and I will be testing it, stress testing it, and offering my advice, because that's what they've asked for in terms of how it runs, what they can do, is there any more they can do to it before they actually start selling it and branding it as an X-Plane specific PC. So that's very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that. And hopefully, we may be able to enter into some collaboration. I don't know. A couple of other items happened for me personally, which I'm very excited about. One is I may be going to America to Flight Sim Expo in Orlando, and it seems that I've secured 2 sponsors that are willing to get me out there. I don't know whether they're going to put me in a UPS packing crate or whether I'll be going by ship and taking 3 weeks to sail all the way around the world before I get to Orlando. But hopefully that will be happening in June of next year. The expo is happening in June of next year in Orlando. Hopefully I'll be getting there, and sure enough, I've got to do one thing, and then I'll be able to tell you about it, offer you a code as well that you can use for the show. So personally, RAF Cosford was a real major success for me after a number of years of working, plugging away, as they say. Anyway, I think that's about it. There's not anything else I'd like to talk about at the moment. I said 30 minutes. We're coming up to 27 minutes. If you've got a question, bang it in now, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. I just recalled something. People have been struggling with the Zibo mod because what they've been doing is they've been deleting their aircraft and downloading the latest zip, and the latest zip is only a hotfix. And so if they haven't got the aircraft there in the first place, there's nothing to hotfix. So be very, very careful what you're doing. I made that mistake myself. I deleted my Zibo mod aircraft, downloaded the zip thinking it was the full thing, and it wasn't. It was just a hotfix. So I had to go back to, I don't know which one. I had to go back quite a few to get the full aircraft and then patch it with that zip. So there we go. And there was something else I was going to say about the Zibo mod, and it's escapes. Oh, the HUD, the pilot's HUD. If you wanted to use that, you have to activate it in the EFB, in the electronic flight bag. And until you do that, you can flip it down, but it doesn't work. It's just a simple thing, but I think it's worth mentioning. Also, save your settings on the electronic flight bag, because if you don't save the settings, next time you open up the plane, it will have reverted back, which can be a pain in the butt. Darren Foe, talking of 2080, I think the 1080 Ti with the extra VRAM is probably the way to go. I think you're right, actually, Darren. The 2080 cards, massively overpriced, and I really don't see what you get for your money. Not yet, anyway. I've got a light on here today. I decided to put on one of my studio lights because to get rid of that shadow. So there we go, better. Do you fly helicopters in X-Plane? I don't fly helicopters in X-Plane, but you can, and they're brilliant in X-Plane because they feature full flight dynamics of helicopters. So you have ground effect, you can do auto rotation, all sorts. There are some incredible helicopters about. There is a Facebook group that I'm quite happy to advertise, and it's called HeliSimmer. No, it's not a Facebook group. Sorry, it's a web page. I will put the link. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll find it now, because these guys and Sergio Costa, who's the guy who runs it all, he's a really nice guy. He was at RAF Cosford a few weeks ago. He's a really nice guy. He and I had an arrangement. I've come to an arrangement in so much as that I don't review helicopters on X-Plane Dedicated because I can't fly them. I'm not very good at flying helicopters. So reviewing them, I would just make a mess of it. I'd be crashing all the time, or maybe crashing more than I do now. But if you go to HeliSimmer and follow them, and they will give you all the news there is about helicopters, because that's all they deal with, helicopters. You'll often see HeliSimmer put in their information on X-Plane Dedicated, and that's an arrangement that Sergio Costa and I have gone into. I won't do helicopters, he won't do planes, so there's a good crossover there. Okay, so I hope that helps, Squirrel Aviator. I hope that helps, and get along there, and it'll be fine. Right, save a copy of your scenery packs. I&I Windows updates are causing issues. Now, this is strange, because I saw this yesterday, Darren, and I cannot understand how a software update will damage anybody's files. I also saw a post yesterday where somebody was claiming that a software update had blown up their CPU processor, their CPU. Their processor. I've never heard anything so silly in all my life. Software cannot affect hardware in that sense. You know, software cannot blow up somebody's processor. It's one of the silliest things I've ever heard. But there we go. If that person wants to believe that, then fine. I'd like to see the empirical evidence of that, or some good empirical evidence, rather than just the murmurings of one person. It's I suspect something else happened. Maybe they had their PC on during a thunderstorm and they received a surge. Who knows? I know. I heard yesterday about that. I've had the Windows update. It hasn't caused me any problems whatsoever. I'd like to say no issues here. Okay, so that's it. 32 minutes 45 seconds. I'm going to go because I've got to walk the dog and do a couple of other things this morning. And I'm also hoping to go flying with my buddies. I think we're going to Barcelona or somewhere. Can't quite remember. Anyway, see you all soon. Take care. Hope you enjoyed the live chat, Real Talk. And this is Wycliffe Barrett saying cheerio.